I hate my own guts, and it makes me ill. We've all probably heard of how hate or unforgiveness can make us ill, or on a spiritual level, how figuratively hating someone's guts can interfere with our own physical or spiritual healing. What if nowadays it is a literal hating of our own guts that is actually physically making us sick and giving us cancer? You may be asking, how in the world do I hate my own guts? Well, I'll shed some illuminating light on this. I'm not implying that I have some special understanding that no one else has on all of this. It's the fact that this is all actually out there, but yet so hidden in plain sight. That really freaks me out. Why is there a huge epidemic of leaky gut, IBS, Crohn's disease, colitis, and diverticulitis? Not to mention the huge prevalence of autoimmune diseases, which are very related. Now back to the hating of our own guts. I don't know if everyone is aware of this fact, but we all, healthy or unhealthy, produce cancer cells in our own bodies every single day. The healthier you are, the healthier your immune system is at attacking and disabling these produced cancer cells. Conversely, the more unhealthy your immune system is, the poorer of a job your immune system does at killing or disabling these cancer cells. To put it simply, they then stack up in our bodies in different places and pour over into other tissues, metastasizing. The growing number of toxic materials we are all constantly unavoidably bombarded with is really no help. But it's because of the fact that every single human body possesses such incredible uniqueness and unbelievable God-given redundant healing pathways and toxin cleansing pathways that this results in the confusion and seeming widely various types and locations of this cancer and all disease. It's this kind of great variation that allows the medical industry to flourish in all its glory and use this science of oncology, in this case, to scare us and keep us confused and in the dark. Now you can go ahead and ask me, are you a medical doctor? I would simply reply, oh God, no. If I were, it would be very unlikely that I could share this wisdom. Because besides the aforementioned fear of God's wrath, for the fear of God is the beginning of all wisdom, wisdom is also the truthful application of knowledge. In the interest of full disclosure, I'll add that years ago I was a nationally certified medical laboratory technician. This involves somewhat thorough study in anatomy and physiology, biochemistry, microbiology, hematology, and immunology from a clinical laboratory perspective. Not that this kind of fallacious appeal to authority should hold much water. Our medical doctors are simply not really allowed to truthfully apply very much knowledge outside of their controlled, institutionally trained insurance provider parameters. That kind of thinking is disallowed by the insurance companies that are run by the pharmaceutical companies that are run by their board of directors who, through interlocking boards of directorship, also control the dissemination of our information through our media and our news. Notice who advertises in the American commercials during newscasts, and who even controls scientific research, which are ultimately run by the king of lies, Satan. But I digress. I'm also trying to refrain from impinging on the AMA's copyrighted word cure, according to their own definition. A cure can only be brought about through drugs or surgery. Look it up. And I'm trying to not mention their patented product labeled cancer. But it is very hard to do. I say this only half kidding because I have been meaning to look and research further into this intellectual property business model that I really believe the medical system is really occultly operating under in an effort to protect their big business interests, and also provides them a future legal defense to the potential great oncoming medical awakening to their shenanigans. They know all the angles of CYA. Maybe someone with more interest in such exciting matters would like to delve into proving this, or actually I would not be surprised at all if someone already has. But again, forgive me for yet another digression. Now, an immune system is, by its definition, something that protects the inside of our bodies from the outside world. An important place where this protection occurs, obviously, is where it is concerned with taking the outer world, food, and integrating it through digestion safely into the inside of our bodies for use, metabolism. This is why it is said that this digestion tube, more specifically our small and large intestines, or our guts that I will show that we seemingly must hate, are between 80 to 90% of our entire immune system. There are several ways that we hate our guts by letting harm come to them through our own assault. Oh guts, how do we hate thee? Let me count the ways. 1, 2, 3. What in the world? 100 trillion! That's the number of microbiotic cells that should be in the healthy human gut. This is 10 times the total number of other cells that are in our entire bodies. That fact is incredible. So since God didn't create any part of us for no good reason, it's quite obvious that these microbes are more than just a yucky, gross thing that is in us. But we sometimes are compelled to drink down something like antimicrobial soap that unintentionally sterilizes away some of those yuckies. But that is exactly what we're doing when we pop those antibiotic pills like candy over every little thing that ails us. I know the medical establishment is at least paying lip service to this idea now, but it still seems to have a long way to go. Believe it or not, there are people out there who understand how crucial that gut flora is to the biochemistry of our bodies, that they would rather rip out their eyes than take an antibiotic. So reason number one that we obviously hate our own guts is antibiotics. I haven't even mentioned the antibiotics present in our food. Reason number two, and this is the reason I started out on this long diatribe. This is the thing that we hate our guts with the most. Actually a thing that we would rather rip our own eyes out for, or even rather die for, than go without eating. This, to die for a coster of our guts, is none other than grains. Yep, grains. Wheat, barley, rye and oats. Yep, breads, cereal, pasta, pizza crusts, and even my favourite gut-expanding killer, pastries. Pretty much every kind of food that Americans and a lot of the world love to eat and sustain themselves upon. Gluten and the ever-increasing occurrence of gluten intolerance is only a small part of the problem of grains. Ulcerative colitis, celiac disease, Crohn's disease, and irritable bowel syndrome are all under the umbrella of leaky gut syndrome, which is the result of these grains basically attacking and compromising the lining of our intestines, where the inside of our body mixes with the outside world. Sounds familiar and like a part of our immune system. These grains aren't your grandparents' grains either, for your grandparents lived before Roundup. Glyphosates are in everything. They even spray wheat with Roundup a few weeks before harvest just to help dry it out. And these genetically modified plants, I'm not talking hybridization, but rather the shooting together of one organism's genes into another organism's genes with what they call a gene gun. You really can't even find a crop that has not been infested by GMO crops via the wind and or bird droppings. To quote a Mercola article I found online, there is a growing body of scientific evidence showing that grains as well as legumes contain anti-nutrients and other problem substances that may increase intestinal permeability. This includes gliadins, lectins and whole wheat agglutinins. The growing evidence of real science, non-agenda-driven, bought-off or perverted science, suggests that the greatest single factor in healthy living is involved intimately with gut health. We actually hear a lot about this idea when we hear about probiotics, but other than mere lip service and lame calls for the public to eat some yogurt, the medical system and all of our society seriously drops the ball on the earth-shattering importance of gut flora, especially now, since those days of the thing that rhymed with lovid, where beneficial gut flora killing antiseptics, a form of antibiotic, were flowing all over us and through us like water. Update. At least the medical system is starting to push probiotics a little bit. From my own personal experience, I was twice given probiotics in a hospital stay for a gallbladder attack in which I was given heavy antibiotics. A quick Google search of what does gut flora do yields, for example, gut flora assists in digesting your food so that you can absorb the nutrients your body and brain need to function properly, helps to produce vitamins, breaks down viruses and other pathogens that make you sick, coats the inside of the digestive tract to protect it from invaders, like parasites, undigested food and toxins from foods, chemicals and heavy metals, and suppresses many carcinogenic substances. So in light of our ever-depleting gut health, I'll add that a person can oftentimes bypass this nutrients delivery system that can often be malabsorbing of nutrients, and take needed vitamins and nutrients sublingually under the tongue. This can introduce those nutrients directly into our bloodstream. So, to conclude, in my humble opinion, an answer to all of our murderous, hateful assault to our guts is to introduce fermented foods into our diets. I personally believe that this is easily the one single thing that can have the biggest effect in fighting almost all disease at all levels of progression, save for maybe a disease state where our white blood cell immunity is already totally killed off through massive amounts of chemo and or radiation. So for these two major reasons, and trillions of other yucky tiny ones, we should stop hating on our guts and toast them with love and maybe a nice probiotic kombucha.